Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Mind the Mental Monday. I'm sorry that I'm kind of running a little bit behind schedule tonight. Of course, things just start happening as soon as you're ready to get ready to do something, things can start happening. But actually, a good thing happened. My grandbabies called like right before it was time for me to start, getting ready to come on. And so I won't make any apologies for talking to them because they are my loves. And so I told my daughter she owes me another call. She just has to give me another call tomorrow. Uh so that I can have some FaceTime with them. And so but I'm looking forward to this topic tonight because I think it's an important one. And I know for me it has been it's an important topic, I think, for me to think about, and it's one that I've been challenged to think about and to do, and it's not always the easiest thing to do. So we're gonna get into it, but how are you doing tonight? How's everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? I hope that you all are doing well. I hope that this has been a great start to a new week for you. Let me know, how's it going? How's it going today? I hope that you're feeling well. I hope that you're feeling well mentally, spiritually, physically. And if you're not, let me know because I believe in the power of prayer and I will pray for you. If you have a prayer request, you can put it in the chat. Um, and or inbox me. As always, if you have questions or anything about anything that I say here, please feel free to give me a call, or not give me a call, but give me inbox me, or you can call my business number. If you leave a message, I will certainly return the call. So, but am a little bit flustered, so I'm going to take a minute to just breathe, breathe and breathe. Um, don't forget to breathe. Don't forget to breathe. India Arie has a song. I can't remember which album it's on, but um, it's called "Don't Forget to Breathe." And believe it or not, we can forget sometimes. Sometimes we're so hurried and we're filled with so much anxiety that we, almost forget to just stop and just not only breathe just because it sort of helps to calm us down sometimes when we're experiencing times of high anxiety, but it literally reminds us to be grateful for our breath, to be grateful for the fact that we are breathing, and that we are being allowed to see another day, you know, get through some more aspects of life, when it be lifing and all, and and life be life, and we say that, but and I did a whole episode on that, but a lot of times I think we think of, when we say that, we think of it in a negative, but life is meant to life, the good and the bad, the ups, the downs, the ebbs, the flows, all of it works in tandem for our good, because if we didn't have challenges, we wouldn't know what it is to not, if things always went our way, if we were always up, we wouldn't know that we were up because we wouldn't have anything to compare it to. There wouldn't be a time that we were down to know that, hey, at this point in time, we're up, right? So I want us to not always view when life be life and through the lens of those are just all the times that we're experiencing challenges or we're experiencing a downswing. Sometimes when life be life and there are exciting things happening, and it could be that we might still be filled with anxiety because there's just a lot to do. Perhaps, there is at a point in life where there's just a lot going on, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's something that might be challenging us, and we need a challenge sometimes. If things were always easy, again, we wouldn't know that we have a reason to be grateful. And we wouldn't learn about ourselves. We wouldn't learn that we actually have the ability, the resiliency, the wherewithal to push through in those moments. So we can learn a lot about ourselves when life be lifing, right? Because that's what it's supposed to do. That's why it's life. Otherwise, it'd be death. Literally, like when there's nothing going on, when there's nothing happening, it's a flat line. And that's not a good place to be either. So just wanted to say that give people time to kind of get in the room. I hope that you are doing well. And hello to you, everyone on Facebook, all of you on Instagram. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to say that now and get that out of the way because sometimes by the time I get to the end of Mind the Mental Monday, I forget to make the appeal, the call to action, which is subscribe to the YouTube channel, and not only subscribe, but share. Share these with your friends, your family, those that you think might be able to benefit from the information that is shared here on Mind the Mental Mondays. And remember that we are minding our mental every day. We do Mind the Mental Monday. It's sort of catchy. It's an alliteration. And I like alliteration. I think a lot of people do because it's easy to remember. But don't think that for it, and it's also at the beginning of the week. And so when we do Mind the Mental Monday, it's a way for us to sort of check in before the week really gets going, to kind of see where we are mentally, to remember the importance of checking in with ourselves. And it can help us as we progress throughout the week to mind our mental, to make sure we are intentional about minding our mental every single day. So, so with that said, I want to get into tonight's topic, which is there is power in letting go. Um, I think as humans, we sort of have a proclivity to hold on to things, especially things that are negative or put us in a negative headspace. And I've talked a lot before about how we listen to the voices of other people. We look at ourselves through the lenses of other people, what other people have said to us or about us, what maybe even our family members have said, what our friends have said, or what people have said in various aspects of our lives. And we look at ourselves and we develop our opinions about our own selves based on what we think the opinions of others are about us. And the reason that this topic came up for me tonight is this past weekend, I had the wonderful opportunity to participate in a conference called Women, WIMIN. It was for Women in Ministry International. And we had so many great experiences there, just talking about the different aspects, different things that we go through with those of us who are in ministry. And it wasn't just for women who are in the preaching ministry, but it was for women who just serve in various capacities. Not even necessarily inside of a church. There are a lot of people who are now kind of serving in, the church without walls, that are doing virtual service. There are those that are doing service in their communities, and it's still ministry because it is ministry is service, right? It means to serve. So had an opportunity to be in the presence of lots of just wonderful, brilliant, beautiful women who are doing a variety of things. I had an opportunity to be interviewed by Ambassador Susan Johnson Cook, who is the former ambassador of religious freedom in the both the Clinton and Obama administrations, and she has made it her mission to be a mentor to women in ministry, and so I uh, have the esteemed privilege of being one of those women that are going along the journey with her and other women, that have goals and so forth. And so I was interviewed and I was talking about mental health, the importance of minding our mental health in ministry, sharing my experiences, as you all have heard already, experiences that I've had with my husband and other members of my family that have dealt with mental health challenges and sort of what it's like being a caregiver to someone who um, as my husband would say, is at war with depression or even other types of mental health challenges. And but one of the other wonderful things, wonderful experiences about uh, my experience at the conference is that one of my closest friends came along with me to the conference, and we shared a room. And one night, she's somebody who has known me for several years now, and I've even shared on here about how I have been working through in therapy. I've sort of been working through sort of, I guess, like something like an imposter syndrome. I've been working through my feeling inadequate, being in rooms where there are lots of people who are doing wonderful things. Hey, Melaine. Melaine was one of those wonderful women at the conference this weekend too. She's an awesome artist. So Melaine, Mel Rocks. You can see her, go follow her, and download her music. She's awesome, awesome gospel artist. But so I had an opportunity to share, um, a room with my very good friend who came along with me, and she knows that I've been going through this for years. I've been dealing with just sort of shrinking in certain rooms, sort of um, dimming my light as always tell everyone, don't do that. I did a short last week, I think, saying that like, hey, every because when you dim your light, when you shine your light, you're not only shining it for you, you're shining it for everyone who is with you, who is in your circle as well. So it's not just for you, but I do have this way of sort of shrinking. So I've really been trying to walk through, where is that coming from? What have I faced even in my childhood that makes me do that? And so my friend, who also happens to be a licensed mental health therapist, and you may have seen the short that I did earlier today, uh, we were just talking and I was talking about that, and she was like, uh, you need to let that go. And I always talk about, tools in the toolkit that you need to when you're dealing with whether you're dealing with mental health challenges or not. One of the greatest tools in the toolkit, and I'm speaking from the perspective of just a woman and having other women in my life who are, trying to do a good thing, right? You need that friend that's just going to be honest with you and just going to say, you need to let that go. And it wasn't like she was belittling how I felt, right? And it wasn't that she was putting me down for how I felt, but there does come a time when I don't care what it is that you are dealing with, that what kind of challenge that has put you in a space emotionally that makes you feel like you just want to cave in, like you just want to shrink, or whatever the situation might be. There comes a time where, however that thing made you feel emotionally, you have to let it go. And it's not a thing of saying, because I think it's different when somebody is going through something and you come up and say, just let it go. Because there's no such thing as sort of when you've experienced trauma. I don't care how big or small you might think of it as. I don't care what others might think of it as. Your trauma is yours. And how you feel, how it made you feel is real. And it's not up to somebody else to try to belittle how whatever it is made you feel. But at the same time, you do have to be intentional that you are going to get to a place that you are going to do the work required to let it go. And it's not an easy thing. It's not something that you can just kind of be like, oh, just flip it about. Oh, I'm just gonna let it go. No, you have to do the work necessary to let whatever that thing is go. That will be doing a talk in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be talking about rewriting the song in your head, because so very often because of what somebody said about us, it could have been 50 years ago, but what somebody said about us, or what somebody thinks about us, continues to play in our heads. It just keeps playing over and over and over again. And you know how you hear something, you might hear a song and it gets stuck in your head. And whether it's a good song or a bad song, it might get stuck in your head. There's been so many times that it's been a song that gets on my nerves, and it keeps playing in my head, and I'm like, get out of my head. But the only way to kind of get that out of my head is then I then have to intentionally play a new song. And I have to play a song that I like, something that's going to encourage me, something that's going to lift me up, something that's going to build me up internally. And I have to do, but you have to do it intentionally. You have to do it on purpose. Because if you just keep letting that song, that negative song, or that song that you don't like, that song that brings you down, that song that makes you feel stuck, that song that makes you feel low and in a bad place, then that's kind of on you, because you have the power within you to change the song. I mean, back in my day, I'm about to date myself, but I mean, we had records, right? That we had to put on the record player, and sometimes you had to put a dime or a quarter or something on the needle to keep the record from skipping. But you did what you had to do to be able to play the song that you enjoyed hearing and to be able to hear it all the way through. You maybe had to tweak some things. Sometimes the record got scratched. You played it so much. My song was Dancing Machine by the Jackson 5. That was my very first record when I was a little girl. And I played it so much, I wore the grooves off that record. But I did what I needed to do. And then it got to a place where I had to do something to the needle, put something on it so that it could play, so that I could still enjoy it as much as I could. Sometimes you got to put a needle on the cord on the I mean a quarter on the needle. Sometimes you got to put something in you and you've got to put a new song in you and play it so that it plays all the way through so that you can enjoy this thing called life. Does that make sense? Does that make sense what I'm saying? And so it's not easy, but you've got to take those steps. You might need to work through it in therapy. Uh, and it takes some time. I've been trying to work through this with my therapist for a minute, but it took my good friend who loves me enough to be honest with me to say, uh, okay, you've been playing that song a long time now. It's time to play a new song. It's time to let it go, Benita. Let it go. Because guess what? You have you have a lot to share in this world. Eh, People need to hear your voice. Your voice is important. So let that go so that you can walk into your divine purpose in the way that you need to show up. But when you keep holding on to that negative stuff, when you keep playing that same old song, all around the world, the same song, and you realize that you need to change it, but you don't. You just let it keep playing in your head. You just let it keep going. When you have the power within you to change it, then you're not doing yourself or anybody else any good because you're not allowing your light to shine so that it can enlighten everyone around you. So I'm grateful for my friend, and I'm grateful that she loved me enough to be honest with me, to not let me just keep wallowing in the emotion of how I have I have been made to feel. And a lot of times, as I think I've also mentioned this before, but a lot of times, we it's sort of based on maybe the vibe that we get when we're in the presence of some people. But a lot of times it's not even necessarily what they're thinking about you. It's just how you are perceiving that they're thinking about you. But you know what? Sometimes you got to tell yourself, I mean, you are important, but you ain't that important that everybody thinking about you all the time. Everybody ain't thinking about you like that. You just gotta get real with yourself sometimes. Like, not everybody is thinking about you. Like, you, you know, so you just have to just be real with yourself that really it's really more about what I'm thinking about me than really what somebody else is thinking about me. And so we have to get to a place where when we are in a space where we feel like we need to shrink, when we feel like we don't belong in a certain room or whatever the case might be, when we start to feel that way, and when we've allowed ourselves to feel that and just hold on to it, because we can hold on to some stuff, right? We can hold on to some stuff, and we can hold on for years. We can hold on, for many, many years, or we could decide at some point we could allow ourselves to get to the place where we say, you know what, enough. Enough. I'm not going to do this to myself anymore. I'm gonna that record is warped and scratched. It's time to take it off the turntable and get a new record. And now we don't even have to get vinyl, although I like music on vinyl still. Uh, but you know what? We can choose what we download. And if we allow ourselves to download those positive things that our Creator created us with and in His image, um, in all that He has all of the glory in which He has created us. If we allow ourselves to download the music of our lives from that source and not from the source of what somebody said or what somebody did or what we think somebody else thinks. we can be at a much better place in life, but we have to make the decision. And everything, when in Mind the Mental Mondays, you've heard me say over and over again, everything really, because everything starts within the mind, everything starts with a decision to do something different. And we can't do something different and keep doing the same thing at the same time and expect something different to come out of it. Because that is the definition of what? Insanity, right? Doing something the same way over and over again, expecting a different result. And so in all of the ministering that I received at this conference that I was blessed to attend over the weekend, in all of that, I made a decision that I'm no longer going to hide my light under a rock. I'm no longer going to shrink down because I think that other people in the room are doing so much better than I am. Because the truth of the matter is, we only know what we see on the surface. We don't know what anybody else is dealing with internally. We don't know what's in anybody else's bank account. We don't know what others are going through at home in different relationships that they might be in. We don't know. But there are a lot of us who are able to put on a great face. We talked about masks. There's go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to it. I talked about the masks that we wear. Um, and can get really good at it. I'm one who I can wear the mess out of a mask. I can do it really well. And I've learned in particular as a pastor's child, I learned to do that very, very early on, right? Very early in life. I learned how to wear a mask, and it was a way of keeping myself safe, right? I learned how to wear a mask, and I learned how to draw lines and not let people get too close. And to this day, it's a protective mechanism. But there are times where you get to a place in life where it's like, you know what? I gotta let that go. And the power in letting it go is because what happens is that when you are so sort of consumed with what others think about you, then you're giving them too much power over you. And so the power of letting go is that you are no longer going to dim your light for the sake of somebody else. And it's not being arrogant, it's being confident. And it's okay to be confident when you know, when you have done the work, you got the education, you've developed the relationships, whatever the case might be, you've put in the work. And so you don't need to give over your power to everybody else. There's power in letting go. And so I want to encourage you tonight that whatever that thing is that you're holding on to, whatever that thing is, because the truth of the matter is that thing that you're holding on to, that you're not letting go of, that is consistently making you feel torn and down and bad about yourself, you're not holding it, it's holding you. And that's one of those things that I'm just going to let that sit there for a minute. You think you're holding on to it, but the truth of the matter is it's holding you. It's got you locked up and locked in. It's got you log jammed and not able to change that tune in your head. And so when you let it go, it has no other choice but to let you go. Because when you let it go, it has nothing else to hold on to. It has no other way to grasp you and keep you bound. So you got to break that chain. When you let it go, that chain is broken and it is shattered. And when you recognize the power that you have within to break that chain, to change that record, you have to make the decision to do it. Sometimes we hold on to old pain and things that have kept us bound because we've gotten used to it. We, we're afraid. It's like it's the thing that we know, right? It's the devil that we know versus the one that we don't know. If we let that go, what's going to happen next? We don't know how that's going to impact us. But we know this, right? We know this. We know how to we've been navigating this. You haven't really been navigating it. You've just been dealing with it. You've just been handling stuff that you really don't have to. But I want to encourage you that you have enough in you, that you have the ability to let that thing go, because it is only when you let it go that you are free. The chain, the shackles are broken. Let that thing go. Do what you have to do to get the tools that you need to shatter that chain. I'm not even talking about unlocking it. I'm talking shattering it. I'm talking getting to the point where the links in the chain are shattered. Because when the links aren't shattered, when they are still able to form, they can link back up easily and lock you back up. But no, we not just settling for just unlocking the shackles. No, we're going to shatter it by letting it go. When you let it go, you can be free. Free to change that song in your head, free to move in purpose, in the purpose that you were created to walk in, free to share that light that that will beam from you, that will help others who are in darkness. Yeah, it's difficult to be chained and be in light at the same time. But when you let go of those things that have been keeping you bound for decades, you can truly move in the freedom that God intends for you to move. So, I don't know who I'm speaking to tonight, but the last thing that I want to share with you is that there's a story in the Bible, and I don't. I think that most people who follow me are also Christian, but there might be some who aren't. But there's a biblical story about a man named Lazarus, and Lazarus died, and his sisters. Jesus was a distance away. He got the message that Lazarus was sick and that he needed to come. They wanted Jesus, to come and heal him. But Jesus didn't come right away. In fact, Lazarus died, and he didn't just die. I mean, he was good and dead, right? He was dead for like 4 days to her. He had already gotten to a place where his body was starting to reek. So by the time Jesus gets to him, he's good and dead. And his sisters are upset. They're like, if you had gotten here before, he wouldn't have died. But what Jesus does is Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. But one key point in the story is that when the point at which Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, although he was made alive again, he was still wrapped up in grave clothes. And so grave clothes are not meant for the living. Grave clothes are meant for the dead. And so if you're wrapped up, as he's wrapped up in grave clothes, Jesus says to him, says to those around him, loose him, right? Meaning take off those grave clothes so that he can walk freely in the freedom of the resurrection that Christ had granted him. And so often we wrap ourselves up. And when you think about how bodies were preserved back in antiquity, think about like a mummy. That's the closest thing that we can get to it, right? Strips of cloth wrapped around the body, wrapped around every aspect of the body. Now, if you are alive, but yet you are wrapped up in clothing that's keeping you trapped, you can't even move until you take that off. When we don't let go of those kinds of things that hurt us and pain us, when we don't let go, it is the same as walking around in clothes that are as being like the walking dead. We are in clothing that's keeping us in that's keeping us dead and in a tomb. It's time to get up. It's time to take off the grave clothes. The grave clothes of those negative voices in your head, the grave clothes of what you don't see in your bank account right now, the grave clothes of what you feel like you haven't accomplished in your life, but you feel like you should be further along than you are. Those are all forms of grave clothes. At some point, we must be committed to taking that stuff off, to being free, so that we can move in the grace that we've been granted by our Creator to move in. And in doing so, others will also see that he or she was dead, but now he or she is alive. No longer are they walking in rooms hunched over and hiding in the corner and not wanting to talk to other people because they don't feel like they have anything to offer. That was me. That was me just this past weekend. And it's funny because people who know me a lot of times don't in their mind, I come off pretty confident. But I'm not all the time. Because when I'm in around certain people who I feel like have gained or done more or something, I feel a kind of a way. And I do begin to shrink. But I was not put here to serve somebody else's purpose. I'm put here to serve the purpose that God put in me. The way that He purposed me to do it in my own skin, in my own personality, whether somebody likes it or not. I'm put here, I'm put here intentionally to be me because I can't be nobody else. And so grab hold of that being one on one, one of one. It's a wonderful way to be. So, I hope that this has blessed you tonight. Let me know, put some comments. I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts about Mind the Mental Mondays. Let me know if there are topics that you want me to talk about. Uh, you know, let me know. Just let me know your thoughts. Engage with the content, because that's the only way that I know that it's doing something. I thank you for those of you who have already subscribed to the YouTube channel, those of you that have left comments, that have inboxed me and just have been such a source of encouragement. Thank you so much. It really means a lot. And I pray that, the material that I do here encourages somebody. There's power in letting go. And I hope that you have um, at least a seed has been planted if you are holding on to something that is not serving you well, that a seed has been planted for you to be committed and determined to let that thing go. Do the work, get the therapy, get the prayer. Let me switch the order of that. Pray, get the therapy, um, you know, take the class, whatever it is that is going to get you to the place where you can let that thing, whatever your that thing is, go. Be determined to do it. You were not made to be in a grave. You were made to live. And if you're a follower of Christ, you were made to live abundantly. You can't do it if you playing that warped scratch record over and over and over again in your head. All right. God bless you. Thank you, Melaine. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. And God bless everybody. Join us again next Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mind the Mental Monday. If you miss it, as go to the YouTube channel and it's Benita Weathers. Um, and just subscribe so that you can check it out. Check out and you can check out any of the other episodes that you may have missed. All right. God bless you. Um, I'll see you next week, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. All right. Good night. God bless.